Cool, welcome back to another video everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I'm talking about all the things I watched in March. I just also want to say this isn't my original idea. I have seen a few YouTubers do this sort of thing on their channel, so I thought I may as well try it again. I think it's a pretty cool idea. So yeah, I'm excited to be talking about what I watched in March. I've been using Letterboxd, which is an app it's pretty much like a movie diary where you can share either really in-depth reviews or quick reviews, and you can rate films out of 5 stars. It's really cool. So I've been using that, and it's really cool because it tracks everything that I've seen. So we're going to go through March, and I watched quite a few things in March. So first up is A Portrait of a Lady on Fire. I watched this on the 1st of March. Really unique and interesting film. The cinematography is absolutely beautiful. Really beautiful stuff. I'm surprised it didn't get more Oscar buzz last year, because I do think it is one of those sort of like Oscar films. So I was quite surprised that it didn't get a bit more attention at the Academy Awards. But it was really interesting, really profound. I don't want to talk too much about it because I feel like you'll probably enjoy the film more if you go in not knowing that much about it. I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was a really powerful movie. Next up is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, which I also watched on the 1st of March. I watched Portrait of a Lady on Fire on the 1st of March as well. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. This is the second time I watched this film this year. I watched it in February, like a week before I watched it again in March. I watched it with some friends on the 1st of March, and I mean, I love this film. I think at first, like the first time you watch it, you might not get everything from the film, but it's after repeat viewings, I've watched it a couple times now. I think it's a really beautiful movie with some really strong themes in it, and yeah, I mean, just some really simple filmmaking techniques that they use in the film that makes the film so much more profound and interesting. And Jim Carrey is kind of a bit more serious in this film as well, which is interesting to see because you don't usually see him be super serious in films. He's usually like very comedic. So it was a good change of pace, and I think it's one of his best performances, hands down. Kate Winslet's also in the film, and she's incredible as well. Such an amazing character in this film. I thought she was great. And I gave Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind 4 out of 5 stars. I may even push it up after watching it again. It kind of sits between 4 and 4.5 out of 5, but right now it's at 4. Love that movie. Next up I watched Seven. This was the first time watching Seven with Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt. This movie was incredible. Flipping insane. There's obviously a huge twist that happens at the end. Not really a twist, but there's like kind of something that happens at the end. I'm not going to say what it is, but this movie was really amazing. I love crime films, and this film is definitely up there with being one of the best ones I've seen, I think, ever. It's kind of like a modern film noir film, which is really great. And I thought it was insane. Really great film. Gave it 4 out of 5 stars as well. Next up, I watched Capturing Reality, which is a documentary about people who make documentaries. It was really insightful, some really good stuff in there, but I thought overall it wasn't very, like, every single interview kind of looked the same. It was like just black backgrounds with like the filmmaker speaking, and I don't know, I just felt like I was missing some really great like technical information that the documentary filmmakers share and stuff like that, and techniques that they use, and there's some really good insightful information in there, but I did feel like I was just losing something, and I felt like for a documentary about documentary filmmakers I was kind of expecting a bit more, but it still really is interesting. I gave it 2.5 stars out of 5, and I watched that on the 3rd of March. I watched Emma on the 4th of March, and this film was really great. I loved it. It's a period piece about Emma, which is a Jane Austen novel. It was great. I really enjoyed it. Gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And Anya Taylor-Joy in this film was incredible. I loved her. She's so likable in this movie, and she delivers a really good performance. On the 8th of March, I watched Superbad. Gave this movie a 3.5 out of 5 stars. This film was hilarious. It was so funny. Look, it is pretty raunchy and a bit like vulgar at sometimes, and there's some dirty humor in there, but I thought it was really funny. Flipping funny. Like, I was just laughing throughout the whole film, and I don't usually when I find a film funny, I'm not necessarily laughing in the movie, but this movie I was just laughing constantly. I thought it was hilarious. Go watch Superbad. It's definitely worth your time if you have not yet seen it. Watched that movie on the 8th of March. I also watched Minding the Gap on the 8th of March. This is a documentary that's really inspired me with something that I'm working on at the moment. But this documentary is incredible. It is so moving, so touching, and it's about these guys who have grown up in pretty bad homes in America, and they've had one thing in common, and that is skateboarding, and they've just been able to connect with that throughout their lives. And the film goes deeper than just that, though. It touches on really relevant themes that are happening in homes in America and even in homes all over the world. Really moving film. It dives into some heavy themes with like abusive relationships and abusive families, and gets really deep, but it's a really moving film. Definitely encourage you to check it out. It's one of the best documentaries I think I've ever seen. Seriously, Minding the Gap is a really, really good film. I gave Minding the Gap 4 out of 5 stars. It's absolutely brilliant. I've watched it a couple of times now, and every time I watch it, it moves me the exact same way it did the first time. Really profound documentary. On the 9th of March, I watched Spike Lee's first film, She's Gotta Have It. It's also now a Netflix series, I think. So it's been adapted from that original film. But this film, like, I cannot believe this was Spike Lee's first film. I mean, look, it's not the best film I've ever seen, but it's still really, really well done. It's really well directed, and honestly, it's really incredible that Spike Lee made a film this good as his first film. I thought it was pretty good. I really did enjoy it. Definitely check it out if you like Spike Lee's films. It's great to know what his first film was. So I really enjoyed it. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars on Letterboxd. On the 9th of March, I also watched Bloodshot. And Bloodshot got a 2 out of 5 stars, and I think I was being kind to it. Bloodshot was not good. I did not enjoy Bloodshot in the slightest. On the 10th of March, I watched a film called The Seventh Seal. It's a film that came out in 1957. It's a really old film. But the reason I watched this film is because Max von Sydow passed away, sadly, and I heard this was one of his best films, so I decided to watch it, and it's a really, really interesting film. And in a surprising way, this film felt quite relevant to what's happening today. With this whole pandemic situation. The film follows a Swedish knight as he confronts death constantly through the film, and death is personified as a figure, and Max von Sydow's character is constantly playing a chess game with death itself. But the Swedish knight returns back to his homeland because of the Black Plague that's happening. And it's really, really interesting because throughout his life he has believed that there is a God, and he's believed in God, but throughout this film he's slowly trying to understand why God is not there in that situation. So I kind of feel like it was a really relevant film for today's society, surprisingly, and I was really touched by some of the themes in the film. I really enjoyed this movie. I think it's a really profound movie. It still holds up. It came out in 1957, and it was extremely relevant for me. It's a really good film. Highly encourage you to check it out. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. Really, really good movie. On the 12th of March, I watched Mark Maron's Netflix special, End Times Fun. Also, it's a stand-up comedy special on Netflix. Also kind of relevant to what's happening today. He kind of makes this whole thing about like the world ending and like how you're going to sort of react about it and stuff like that. It was pretty funny. I didn't love it, but I thought it was pretty funny at some parts. Some parts I didn't like at all, but I thought it was pretty good. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. Then on the 13th of March, I watched Lost Girls, which also was a Netflix movie. This movie I didn't think was good at all, to be honest. I'm kind of upset about that. I know some people really love this movie, but I thought this movie would have been way better as a documentary because it is based on real things that happened to certain people. And I don't know, I just think this movie, although it was trying to pay respect to what happened to these people, I just think it didn't really give us much of an emotional connection to these characters. And I feel like in a documentary format we would have felt more what these people felt, and we would have just been able to connect with them more. I don't think the film was that strong at all, which I'm really upset about because I really was hoping it was going to be one of Netflix's like standout films for the year. Gave Lost Girls a 2.5 out of 5 stars. On the 15th of March, I watched Contagion, and I mean, Contagion is like pretty relevant to what's happening now. I really enjoyed Contagion. It's a bit boring. I gave it, I think, 2.5 or 3. Gave it 2.5 stars. Okay, I think it deserves a bit more than that. Maybe like a 3 stars. I'll change that later. But it's a really interesting movie. It sort of follows a pandemic around the world over a certain period of time, so it kind of shows its origin, and then it shows how it's cured at the end. So it has a bit of an optimistic, I guess, ending in a way, but the film is pretty dark and bitter besides that. And I think it's a really relevant film for these times. If you do want to sort of watch a movie that's kind of similar to what's happening now, watch Contagion. I think Contagion does push it a bit further than this current pandemic. Matt Damon, he kind of has one of those We Bought a Zoo scenes in this film as well. It's makes me like tear up every time I watch it. But it's towards the end of this film. It's a really great moment, and it hits me in the feels every time I see it. So, yeah. On the 16th of March, I watched Lost in Translation with Bill Murray and Scarlett Johansson. Really interesting movie as well. It's about these two characters who meet in Tokyo and end up kind of forming a bit of a friendship and possibly even something more. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a very sort of human connection sort of film. And yeah, I just felt like the performances by Scarlett Johansson and Bill Murray were really, really strong. The film definitely focuses on their two performances a lot. And they made this film really enjoyable for me and really, really touching. I really enjoyed this movie. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. On the 17th of March, I watched Death at a Funeral, the British version. Flipping funny as well. I really enjoyed this movie. I tried to watch the American one afterwards, but the American one was so similar yet not as funny that I just stopped watching it. So yeah, but the British one was really funny, and I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Watched that on the 17th of March. On the 17th of March, I also watched Blue Jay. Now, Blue Jay was such a surprise to me, and I absolutely loved it. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. It's about these two people who were kind of lovers in high school. They had a really romantic relationship. And they end up meeting again at a grocery store. And I'm not going to say what happens afterwards, but it's such a great film. The whole film's in black and white as well. And it's not a very long film. I think it's like around 80 to 90 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. So it's quite short, and it just packed a punch. It was so good. I absolutely loved it. Definitely one of my favorite films I think I watched in March. I gave it also a 4 out of 5 stars. Really, really great film. Yeah, and it's 80 minutes. I just checked now. So definitely check that out. Then on 17th of March as well, I watched Thoroughbreds, which also has Anya Taylor-Joy in it. It was okay. I didn't really love it, but it was kind of good. My review for it here says kind of liked it, kind of didn't, and I think that's pretty much sums up my feelings for it. I give it 3 out of 5. Really good performances in the film, but besides that, I didn't really love it that much. Then on the 18th of March, I watched Amy, the documentary about Amy Winehouse, and this documentary was absolutely brilliant documentary. And I noticed something that this documentary did, which was kind of interesting, is that it didn't have any filmed interviews like overlaid on the documentary. It was all just like footage of Amy Winehouse that was gathered over the years. So there were definitely interviews that were recorded and they were played in the background, but the whole documentary is just footage of Amy Winehouse. And it was really, I'm actually getting like goosebumps just thinking about this documentary. It was so tragic, what Amy went through. And I know there was a whole bunch of different factors that had a role in her life, and ended up leading to what happened to her. But I think, it's such a like tragic thing that happened to her. And I don't want to blame the paparazzi entirely for what happened to her, but I feel like it definitely had a part in what happened, the paparazzi and the media. So it's a really tragic documentary, but it's really profound as well, and it just really captured, I feel like, the soul and character of who Amy Winehouse was. So it's a really great documentary. Highly recommend it. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. Okay, then on the 19th of March, I watched Frozen 2. Not as great as the first one, but I still really enjoyed it, surprisingly. I didn't think I was going to enjoy it. I thought the sequel would just drop the ball completely, but I actually did really like it. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. It was a good film. On the 21st of March, this is another really good one, I watched The Platform. So this film is a Spanish film, if I'm not mistaken, but it's an insane film. It's so great. It pretty much is about this facility where there's this platform that goes down to each level, and there's like hundreds of levels, but pretty much it's like I guess like a spin on the whole capitalism thing. But like you start at the top and there's this table full of food, and this thing goes slowly down to each level, and obviously as the level gets lower with the food on it, the food gets worse and worse and worse, so the people on like the bottom level don't end up getting any food. It's got like a thriller element to it and thriller vibe to it, and there's, yeah, the whole film is like how people in this facility try to sort of overcome this like structure that's been in place in this facility. Flipping brilliant movie. Honestly loved it so much. Gave it a, I think 3.5 or 4 stars. Really, really good movie. I highly recommend it. It is a foreign film, but it's definitely worth your time. I'd highly recommend it. It's really, really good. On the 22nd of March, I watched a documentary called Love Antosha, but it's a documentary about the life of Anton Yelchin, who tragically died in a car accident a couple years ago. And yo, this was also really, really moving. It was so good. A lot of family archive footage as well, which was really touching, and just seeing how passionate he was as an actor, but also how his love for film developed, and how he was like about to start directing like movies when this tragedy happened to him. And it's so sad. Like I feel like he could have been one of the great filmmakers, honestly, like just with his love and passion for the arts of filmmaking. Like I'm so upset that we never saw a film directed by him. But really touching documentary, really beautiful documentary. Highly recommend it. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. You can tell that I just love documentaries a lot. I really do. This one is well worth your time as well. So good. On the 22nd of March, I also watched Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. This film got 5 out of 5 stars for me because I love it so much. I think it's a perfect movie. I honestly do. Love this movie so much. I've watched it a couple of times now. It's brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant. I'm not going to say anything else. Go watch Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse if you're not yet seen it already. It's so good. On the 22nd of March, I also watched Columbus, which was great. It's essentially about this character called Casey, who's just really into architecture in her local town, and she ends up meeting this other character who doesn't know anything about the architecture there currently, and they sort of form like a bit of a friendship and bond, and it's a really like interesting and touching film as well. I probably did not make you excited about it just by describing it, but I do recommend watching it. The cinematography is absolutely beautiful. Really beautiful stuff. And it's a good movie. I definitely recommend watching it. It also has John Cho in the film as well, and he also always delivers such a great performance, so it's definitely worth watching. Also don't really know where to slot this in, but I also watched Tiger King on Netflix, and insane documentary. I'm pretty sure you've seen all the memes, you've heard all about it already, but it's a crazy documentary. And what's interesting about it is that it's like being told in the sort of past perspective, so it's like people recording events that have happened in the past and stuff like that, but it slowly starts like becoming closer and closer to real time, and then it sort of overlaps a little bit, and it's so interesting. Highly recommend Tiger King. It is pure insanity. It's crazy. It's so crazy. Definitely check it out. Then on the 29th of March, I watched Onward again, and I loved it even more the second time. This movie hits me in the feels every time. It's so good, and I feel like it's a very important movie for current times as well. And yeah, it just highlights the importance of, I guess, family and especially siblings. So I absolutely love this movie. I thought it was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And then on the 30th of March, I watched I Am Easy to Find. And this is a short film that was directed by Mike Miles, and it's pretty much a short film that follows the life of Alicia Vikander's character. I hope that's how you say her name. I feel like I'm really not saying it right. But it's the whole short film is about this person's life. But the really interesting thing about this short film is that Alicia Vikander plays the same character throughout the whole thing. So when she is born, she's playing a baby, and then she plays a toddler, then a kid, then a teenager, then an adult, then an old lady, and she plays the same character throughout her whole lifetime, and it's so interesting. And she actually is so great, like just the mannerisms she has in the film and the way she does certain things. It's so good. I highly recommend you checking it out. It's 26 minutes, so it's not long at all, and it's really beautiful, really profound, all in black and white as well, and it's just so I guess, calm but peaceful as well. And I don't know, you really just feel like you're seeing insight into someone's life, which is weird because it's a short film about a character throughout their life, but it's also, I don't know, it's got like a really unique feel to it. Really, really beautiful. I've watched it a couple of times now, but I watched it again in March of this year, and I love it so much. So definitely go check that out and let me know what you think, because I'm very curious to know. Cool guys, so this took so long to make, so please let me know honestly if you would like to see more of these into the future months. I mean, I like talking about movies, but it is a lot of work, so I'm definitely keen to do it if you guys are interested in it, but if you're not, then that's fine as well. But thank you so much for joining me for today. I hope you guys watch some really amazing stuff in March as well, and remember as well just to stay safe, to stay healthy, stay at home, don't go out, and yeah, I hope you guys are all doing really, really well, and you are doing fantastically, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.